Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी नमामि हरि प्रिये। नारायणं नमः चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। बोलो श्री राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की
जय।
बोलो श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय।
हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा। ये सब लोग दिवाली मना रहे हैं लगता है, हाँ?
कल का अगर आपको ठीक लगता है तो कल का कैंसिल कर दीजिए।
हाँ, आई थिंक ऐसे कर सकते हैं। दिवाली है, लोग सब बिजी रहेंगे,
हाँ।
सबको दीपक करना और सब कुछ करना रहता है शाम के टाइम पे।
जी।
या सो विल डू दैट। या आज तो करते हैं अपन, हाँ? तो कल हम लोग वी कंप्लीटेड थर्ड चैप्टर
जी।
एंड आज फोर्थ अध्याय शुरू कर रहे हैं।
या।
और इस कैंटो में सारे मनुवंतर के बारे में बताया गया है, विवस्वत मनु के बारे में। जो करंट मनु है, विवस्वत मनु, उनके डायनेस्टी के बारे में बताया गया है। राइट। सो वी हैव बीन रीडिंग अबाउट डिफरेंट सन्स। लास्ट अध्याय हमने सरियाती के बारे में पढ़ा, जो विवस्वत मनु के पुत्र थे, एंड देन हाउ ही how he did the yajna and everything else, and then so now we are reading about the Nabhag. The Nabhag is the other son of Vivasvat Manu. So we'll start with Shlok 1. Go ahead.
श्री शुक उवाच नभागो नभ गापत्यम यम ततम भ्रातर कविम यविष्ठम व्यभजन दायम ब्रह्मचरिणा मागतम. Sukdev Goswami said, the son of Nabhag, named Nabhaga, lived for a long time at the place of his spiritual master. Therefore, his brothers thought that he was not going to become a grihasth and would not return. Consequently, without providing a share for him, they divided the property of their father among themselves. When Nabhag returned to the place of his spiritual master, they gave him their father's as his share.
So the Nabhag's son Nabhag, yeah, his brothers thought he has taken a brahmacharya, and so they divided everything among themselves. But when he returned, they were not expecting him to return, but when he returned, they gave him the father as his share. What is being mentioned is there are two kinds of brahmacharis. One may return home, marry, and become a householder, whereas the other, known as Brihad Vrit, takes a vow to remain a brahmachari perpetually. The Brihad Vrit brahmachari does not return from the place of the spiritual master. He stays there and later he directly takes sannyas. Because Nabha did not return from the place of his spiritual master, his brothers thought that he had taken Brihad Vrit brahmacharya. Therefore, they did not preserve his share, and when he returned, they gave him their father as his share. Bhrataro bhaktam kim maham bhajam pitram tava tvam mamarya stabhang shikshurma putra tata dritha. Nabhaga inquired, My dear brothers, what have you given to me as my share of our father's property? His elder brothers answered, we have kept our father as your share. But when Nabga went to his father and said, my dear father, my elder brothers have given you as my share of property, the father replied, my dear son, do not rely upon their cheating words. I am not your property. Ajay?
इमे इमे आंगिरसः सत्र मासते अद्य सुमेधसः षष्ठमुपेत्याह कवे मुहान्ति कर्मणि. Navaga's father said, all the descendants of Angira are now going to perform a great sacrifice, but although they are very intelligent, on every 6th day they will be bewildered in performing sacrifice and will make mistakes in their daily duties. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tansvam sansaya sukte dve veshvadevi mahatmana te swayanto dhanam satra parishesistam dasyanti te tangaccha tatha sa kritvan yatha tasme datva yahu swarga te satra pariseshanam. Nabhag's father continued, go to those great souls and describe 2 Vedic hymns pertaining to Vishwadeva. When the great sages have completed the sacrifice and are going to the heavenly planets, they will give you the remnants of the money they have received from the sacrifice. Therefore, go there immediately. Thus, Nabga acted exactly according to the advice of his father, and the great sages of the Angira dynasty gave him all their wealth, and they went to the heavenly planets. Yeah, so he got the wealth from Angira Muni, from his dynasty. Yeah, Ajay?
Tam kaschit स्वीकरिष्यन्तं पुरुषः कृष्णदर्शनः उवाचोत्तरोत्तो अभ्येत्य ममेदं वास्तुकं वसु. Thereafter, while Nabhaga was accepting the riches, a black-looking person from the north came to him and said, all the wealth from this sacrificial arena belongs to me. Hare Krishna.
Mamedam rishi bhidarkamamiti tahimshma manavah shanote pitari prashna pristavana pitram yatha. Nabhag then said, these riches belong to me. The great saintly persons have delivered them to me. When Nabhag said this, the black-looking person replied, let us go to your father and ask him to settle our disagreement. In accordance with this, Nabhag inquired from his father.
Yajnavastu gatam sarvamuchishta mrishayah kvachit chakruhe bhagam rudraya sadeva sarva marhati. The father of Nabhaga said, whatever the great sage sacrificed in the arena of Daksh Yajna, they offered to Lord Shiva as his share. Therefore, everything in this sacrificial arena certainly belongs to Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chakruhi bhagam rudraya sa deva sarvameti. So everything belongs to Lord Shiva from that yajna. Nabhagastam pranamyahe tavesha kilvastukam ityaha me pita brahma ichha rasa tvam prasade. Thereupon, after offering obeisances to Lord Shiva, Nabhag said, O worshipable Lord, everything in this arena of sacrifice is yours. This is the adjuration of my father. Now with great respect, I bow my head before you, begging your mercy.
Yat te pita vadad dharma tvam cha satyam prabhashase dadami te mantra disho Jnanam Brahma Sanatanam. Lord Shiva said, whatever your father has said is the truth, and you also are speaking the same truth. Therefore, I who know the Vedic mantras shall explain transcendental knowledge to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So basically, Dadami te mantra drishyo jnanam Brahma Sanatanam. So Lord Shiva is then giving the Brahma Sanatanam, the Gyan, the transcendental knowledge to Nabhaga. Yeah. And that's what all this is mentioned, that how the Nabhag gets the transcendental knowledge from Lord Shiva. Right? Grihana Dravinam Dattam Vatsatra Parisheshitam Ityuktavanta Hito Rudro Bhagwan Dharma Vatsala. Lord Shiva said, now you may take all the wealth remaining from the sacrifice, for I give it to you. After saying this, Lord Shiva, who is the most adherent to the religious principles, disappeared from that place. Yeah, Bhagwan Dharma Vatsala, Lord Shiva, disappeared from the place.
Ya itat sansmaret prata sayam cha susmahitaha kavi bharvanti mantragyo gatim chaiv tathatmana. If one hears and chants or remembers this narration in the morning and evening with great attention, he certainly becomes learned, experienced in understanding the Vedic hymns, and expert in self-realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is what Parikshit Maharaj is telling Sukadeva Goswami Ji, that if anyone hears this katha, yeah, they become expert in mantragyo and tatha atmana, expert in self-realization. Nabhagadam Ambarīṣo Bhuna Mahabhagvat Kriti Na Sprashad Brahma Shapo Api Yamna Pratihat Kvachit. From Nabhaga, Maharaj Ambarīṣa took birth. Maharaj Ambarīṣa was an exalted devotee, celebrated for his great merits. Although he was cursed by an infallible Brahman, the curse could not touch him.
Sri Rajo Vach Bhagavad Chachro Tumimachami Rajarshitasya Dhimatah Na Prabhud Yatra Nirmukto Brahma Dando Durtyaya. King Parikshit inquired, O great personality, Maharaja Ambarīṣa was certainly most exalted and meritorious in character. I wish to hear about him. How surprising is that the curse of a Brahman who is insurmountable could not act upon him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what I've been reading so far, right? Like how Vyavasvat Manu's son Nabhag and his son Nabhaga, right? Then how he got the transcendental knowledge from Lord Shiva. And then now his son Ambarīṣa Mahārāja, and we know, we have heard about Ambarīṣa Mahārāja, right? How exalted devotee he was, that even the curse of a Brahman could not touch him. So Parikshit Maharaj wants to know more about him. Sri Shukuvacha Ambarīṣo Mahābhagah Saptadvipavarti Mahim Avyayam cha Sriyam Labdava Vibhavam Chatulam Bhuvi Meneyati Durlabham Punsam Sarva Tatsva Pransanstutam Vidvana Vibhava Nirmanam Tamo Vishati Yat Puma. Sukadeva Goswami said, Maharaj Ambarīṣa, the most fortunate personality, achieved the rule of the entire world consisting of 7 islands, and achieved inexhaustible, unlimited opulence and prosperity on earth. Although such a position is rarely obtained, Maharaj Ambarīṣa did not care for it at all, for he knew very well that all such opulence is material. Like that which is imagined in a dream, such opulence will ultimately be destroyed. The king knew that any non-devotee who attains such opulence merges increasingly into material nature's mode of darkness. Yeah. So what Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning is that He was ruling Saptadvip. When it says 7 islands, that's the whole universe, right? All the 7 Mahadvip, right? All the 7 oceans across the whole earth was ruled by Ambarīṣa Mahārāja at that time. Even though he was ruling all that, he was not attached to it, is what is being mentioned by Sukadeva Goswamiji here.
Vasudeve Bhagavati Tadvan Vakteshu Cha Sadhushu Prapto Bhavam Parvishram Yenedam Loshtravat Smritam. Maharaj Ambarīṣa was a great devotee of Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva and of the saintly person who are the Lord's devotees. Because of this devotion, he thought of the entire universe as being as insignificant as a piece of a stone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So even though he owned the entire universe, he thought it's not that important because Vasudeva Bhagavati, he was a great devotee of Lord Vasudeva. Seveha mana Krishna upadara vindeo varanchasi vekunta gunan varnane karo harera mandir marjanadishu shrutim chakara chutu satyathodaya Mukundalingala darshane disho tatadritya gatra sparshya sanga sangamam Granam cha tatpad saroj sorbhe Shrimatula sharasanam tadarpite Pado hareha kshetra padanu sarpane Shiro rishikesha padavivandane Kamam cha dashena tu kama kamya Yato uttam shloka jana swayarati. Maharaj Ambarīṣa always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. His words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulsi offered to the Lord. And he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarīṣa never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord. This is a way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. So what Sukadeva Goswami explained to Parikshit Maharaj about Maharaj Ambarīṣa, right? How Maharaj Ambarīṣa was Krishna Padara Vindeyo, how he was always serving the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, how he was Srimad Tulsha Rashanam Tadarpite, taking the smell of the Tulsi Patti, how he will to Rishikesh Pada Vindane and Uttam Shlok Jana Shrayarati, always hearing to the Uttam Shloks of Lord Sri Krishna. So what is being described is about Maharaj Ambarīṣa, and as we know, Maharaj Ambarīṣa was son of Nabhag. Nabhag was son of Nabhag, who was son of Vyavasvat Manu. So what we are reading is the dynasty of Vyavasvat Manu. And Parikshit Maharaj wanted to know about Maharaj Ambarīṣa. I think we all have heard about Maharaj Ambarīṣa. But this is what Sukadeva Goswamiji is now reciting to Parikshit Maharaj about Maharaj Ambarīṣa and how Maharaj Ambarīṣa, he owned the entire universe, right? So he was the king of across all the 7 oceans of the whole universe. And still, he was not attached to it. He always used to meditate his mind upon lotus feet of Sri Krishna is what is being mentioned by Sukhdev Goswami ji to Parikshit Maharaj. Hare Krishna Prem.
Hare Krishna, Rajendra bhai.
Hare Krishna.
Evam sada karm kapal matmana mana pare digye bhagvat dosh shadje sarvatma bhavam vivadan mahi imam tannistha viprabhita sashaha. In performing his prescribed duties as king, Maharaj Ambarīṣa always offered the results of his royal activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is the enjoyer of everything and is beyond the perception of material senses. He certainly took advice from Brahmanas who were faithful devotees of the Lord, and thus he ruled the planet Earth without difficulty. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Ijesh Megher Dhiyagyamishwaram Mahabhutyo Pachitadishanah Tatter Vishthasit Gautamadhibhi Dharna Vabhishtrotmasho Saraswatim. In desert countries where there flowed the river Saraswati, Maharaj Ambarīṣa performed great sacrifices like the Ashwamedh Yagya and thus satisfied the master of all Yagyas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such sacrifices were performed with great opulence and suitable paraphernalia and with contributions of dakshina to the Brahmanas, who were supervised by great personalities like Vasishtha, Ashita, and Gautama, representing the king, the performer of the sacrifices. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So we are reading about Maharaj Ambarīṣa.
Ambarīṣa.
Yeah. And this whole 9th canto, we are reading about the dynasty of whom?
Vashwat Manu.
Vevasvat Manu, right? And Vevasvat Manu is the current Manu, 7th Manu in this 14 Manus of one day of Lord Brahma, 7th Manu, and we are under 7th Manu, right? Half day of Lord Brahma has been passed. Like we are in the middle of the one day of Lord Brahma, all sons of Vevasvat Manu. So Ambarīṣa Mahārāja was also in the dynasty of Vevasvat Manu, and is being described how great devotee he was, even though he was ruling the entire planet Earth. Hare Krishna, Sachin.
Hare Krishna. Yasya kratushu girvaneya sadasya ritvijo janaha tulya rupascha nimisha vayadrishyanta suvasasaha. In the sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Ambarīṣa, the members of the assembly and the priests, especially Hota, Udgata, Brahma, and Adhvaryu, were gorgeously dressed, and they all looked exactly like demigods. They eagerly saw to the proper performance of the yajna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare.
Swargo न प्रार्थितो यस्य मनुजैर मर प्रियः कृष्ण वद्वे रूप गायद्विरुत्तम श्लोके चेष्टितम. The citizens of the state of Maharaja Ambarīṣa were accustomed to chanting and hearing about the glorious activities of Personality of Godhead. Thus they never aspired to be elevated to heavenly planets, which are extremely dear even to the demigods. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, they always wanted to just chant and hear the glorious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's a nice purport. So let's read this. Bhashya, Prabhu.
A pure devotee who has been trained in the practice of chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord and his fame, qualities, form, paraphernalia, and so on is never interested in elevation to the heavenly planets, even though such places are extremely dear even to the demigods. Narayana par sarve na kutsachana bhvetati swarga pavarga narkeshav api tulyarth darshanaha. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, never fear any condition of life. The heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same to a devotee. A devotee is always situated in the spiritual world. Therefore, he does not desire anything. He is known as akama or desireless because he has nothing to desire except to render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Maharaj Ambarīṣa was a most exalted devotee of the Lord, he trained his subjects in such a way that the citizens in his state were not interested in anything material, including even the happiness of the heavenly planets. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And whom are we reading about right now?
Maharaj Ambarīṣa.
Yeah, Maharaj Ambarīṣa. Yeah. So, okay.
संवर्धयन्ति यत् कामा स्वराज परिभावितः दुर्लभा नापि सिद्धानां mukundam hridi pashyata. Those who are saturated with the transcendental happiness of rendering service to the Supreme Personality of the Godhead are uninterested even in the achievements of great mystics. For such achievements do not enhance the transcendental bliss felt by a devotee who always thinks of Krishna within the core of his heart. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, a devotee, a real devotee always thinks of Krishna within the core of his heart. Yeah, Mukundam Ridhi Pashyata. And what he's saying is, Durlabha Napi Siddhana. Like he doesn't even care about the great mistakes or anything else. Yeah, those are the characteristics of a great devotee. Sachin?
Pure devotee is uninterested not only in the elevation to the higher planetary systems, but even in the perfections of mystic yoga. Real perfection is devotional service. The happiness derived from merging in the impersonal Brahma and the happiness derived from 8 perfections of mystic yoga, Anima, Laghima, Prapti, and so on, do not give any pleasure to the devotee. As stated by Srila Prabodhanananda Saraswati, Kaivalyam Narakayate Tridasha Pura Akasha Pushpayate Durdantendriya Kala Sarpa Patali Prokhata Damshtrayate Visham Purna Sukhyate Vidhi Mahindra Dish Cha Kitayate Yat Karunya Kataksha Vaibhavatam Tam Gauram Eva Stumah. Chaitanya Chandramrita 5. When a devotee has achieved the position of rendering transcendental loving service of Lord through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, he thinks the impersonal Brahma to be no better than hell, and he regards material happiness in the heavenly planets to be like a will-o'-the-wisp. As far as the perfection of mystic powers is concerned, a devotee compares it to a venomous snake with no teeth. A mystic yogi is especially concerned with controlling the senses, but because the senses of a devotee are engaged in the service of Lord, Rishikena Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate, there is no need for separate control of the senses. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
For those who are materially engaged, control of the senses is required. But the devotee's senses are all engaged in the service of the Lord, which means that they are already controlled. Param Drishva nirvarte. A devotee's senses are not attracted by material enjoyment, and even though the material world is full of misery, the devotee considers the material world to be also spiritual because everything is engaged in the service of the Lord. The difference between the spiritual world and the material world is the mentality of the service. Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. When there is no mentality of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's activities are material. Prapanchiktya buddhya hari sambandhi vatsana mumuk subhi pratitikyo vairagyam falgu kathyati. Bhakti Rasam Sindhu 1.2.256. That which is engaged in the service of the Lord is not material, and nothing thus engaged should be given up. In the construction of a high skyscraper and the construction of a temple, there may be some enthusiasm, but the endeavors are different. For one is material and the other one is spiritual. Spiritual activity should not be confused with material activities and given up. Nothing connected with Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is material. A devotee who consider all this is always situated in spiritual activities, and therefore he is no longer attracted by material activities. Param Drishtva Nirvartate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So couple of things mentioned here, important points, right? Is that one is for those who are materially engaged, control of the senses is required, right? So people who are also doing the self-realization and they think this world is just a Brahma, right? There is no other God, and they think they control the senses by doing meditation and so many different things, right? And a lot of austerities they go through to control the senses. But what is being mentioned, right? For a devotee doesn't have to do that. Why? Because devotees' senses are all engaged in the service of the Lord, right? Like in the previous shlok, we read about how Maharaj Ambarīṣa, all the sensual senses were engaged in Lord Krishna's service. So a devotee is always engaged. So if he's engaged all the senses in the service of the Lord, they are already controlled. You don't have to control. The senses are already serving the Lord Sri Krishna, is what is mentioned here, right? And the second thing which you also mentioned is a devotee considers the material world to be spiritual because he is always engaged in the service of the Lord. This is what you also do in the spiritual world. So he always thinks he's in the spiritual world, right? So those are good things mentioned here. Prem.
Sa itham bhakti yogin tapo yuktain parthiva swadharmen harim prinam sarvan kamansh ne jo. The king of this planet, Maharaj Ambarīṣa, thus performed devotional service to the Lord and in his endeavor practiced severe austerity, always satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his constitutional activities. He gradually gave up all material desires. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj Ambarīṣa always bhakti yogena tapo yuktena. So that's how Saudharmena Harim Prinam. Yeah, so this is how Maharaj Ambarīṣa was a great devotee. So read this purport and Shri Prabhu.
Severe austerities in the practice of devotional service are of many varieties. For example, in worshipping the deity in the temple, there are certainly laborious activities. Shri Vigraha Radhana Nitya Nana Shringara Tan Mandira Marjanadav. One must decorate the deity, cleanse the temple, bring water from the Ganges and Yamuna, continue the routine work, perform arti many times, prepare first-class food for the deity, prepare dresses, and so on. In this way, one must constantly be engaged in various activities, and the hard labor involved is certainly an austerity. Similarly, the hard labor involved in preaching, preparing literature, preaching to atheist men, and distributing literature door to door is of course an austerity. Tapo yuktena, tapo divyam putraka. Such austerity is necessary. Yena sattvam sudhyet. By such austerity in devotional service, one is purified of material existence. Kaman sanair jaho. Indeed, such austerity leads one to the constitutional position of devotional service. In this way, one can give up material desires, and as soon as one is freed from the material desires, he is free from the repetition of birth and death, old age and disease. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So once a devotee is engaged all his senses in the service of the Lord, his material desires keep getting reduced, and then as soon as one is freed from material desires, he is free from the repetition of birth, death, old age and disease. Yeah. Sachin?
Gruheshu dareshu suteshu bandhushu dvipottamasya sandanav jivastushu akshaya ratna varnambaradi vishwana ananta koshe shwakaro dasan matim. Maharaj Ambarīṣa gave up all attachment to household affairs, wives, children, friends, and relatives, to the best of powerful elephants, to beautiful chariots, carts, horses, and inexhaustible jewels, and to ornaments, garments, and an inexhaustible treasury. He gave up attachment to all of them, regarding them as temporary and material. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I think we'll pause here. Yeah, and we'll continue reading about Maharaj Ambarīṣa in the next gathering. Let's stop sharing, and then again, as it's Kartik month, let's hear Damodar Ashtakam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Satsang
Rekakanta Tita Brahma Damodaram Bhaktivedanta Muhushvasakam Patrika Kakanta Tita Brahma Damodaram Bhaktivedanta Svaliranandakunde Svagosham Nimajantam Akyapayantam Vididri Svaliranandakunde Svagosham Nimajantam Akyapayantam Tadiyeshitagneshu bhakten chitatva Guna prematastab sata vritivande Tadiyeshitagneshu bhakten chitatva Guna prematastab sata vritivande Vishnu
Pujitam bhakti bhajam kritam cha Tata prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha Namo shegraham me stidamo darenka Tata prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha Namo shegraham me stidamo darenka Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Lucy Radhe Damodar Bhagwan ki.
Jai.
Jai.
Yeah, so blissful Damodars to come. And so this week is Diwali now. Tomorrow,
Choti
think-
Diwali.
huh?
Tomorrow is Choti Diwali and
The Diwali, so I
Thursday.
think we should take a pause, right? For tomorrow.
Yeah.
Think let's focus on Diwali.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's do that. I think tomorrow we will not have that. We'll meet
Mhm.
again on Monday
Yes.
and then continue reading about Maharaj Ambarīṣa. But happy Diwali to everyone.
Happy
Enjoy.
Diwali.
Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Dhanteras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dhanteras. We'll see you on Monday. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.